What if everything you've been doing in your relationships is working against you? And Chase, you convince you give all your energy to someone, and yet they seem to drift further away. Does this sound familiar? It's frustrating, isn't it? But here's the twist. The harder you chase, the faster they run. Why? Because desperation pushes people away. You cannot grasp love or attention with clenched fists. It slips through like sand. So what should you do instead? Welcome to a new way of thinking, a Stoic way of thinking. Imagine a version of yourself who no longer begs for validation, no longer fears rejection, and no longer exhausts their energy on convincing someone to stay. Imagine becoming someone so grounded, so calm, and so confident that people are drawn to you naturally. It's not a fantasy, it's the core of Stoicism, and today I'll show you how to embody it. In this journey, we'll explore 8 transformative steps to shift your focus from chasing to attracting. These are not superficial tricks or manipulative strategies. They are a way of life, rooted in timeless Stoic principles. And the best part, the final steps of this process are where the real magic happens, where you'll unlock the mindset that changes everything. Stay with me until the end. I promise, by the time we finish, you won't just understand how to stop convincing others. You'll feel ready to take control of your relationships and your life. Let's dive into step 1, mastering your thoughts. Step 1, master your thoughts. Your mind is the most powerful tool you have, but it can also be your greatest obstacle. How often have you found yourself consumed by thoughts about someone's opinion of you? Do they like me? Did I say the wrong thing? Why haven't they texted back? These thoughts left unchecked spiral into fear, insecurity, and desperation. And when desperation takes over, you lose your power. But here's the truth. Your thoughts are not facts. They are simply interpretations, often shaped by fear. The good news, you can control them. This is the foundation of Stoicism. As Epictetus wisely said, men are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them. It's not the situation, someone ignoring your text or seeming distant, that causes your distress. It's your interpretation of the situation. Ask yourself, when was the last time you let your thoughts run wild, imagining worst-case scenarios? Did it help, or did it make you feel powerless? This is where you must take charge. The first step in becoming a Stoic magnet is mastering your thoughts. Without this foundation, the rest of the steps will crumble. How do you begin? Start by becoming aware of your thoughts. The next time you find yourself spiraling, checking your phone every 5 minutes, replaying a conversation in your head, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself, is this thought serving me? Most of the time, the answer will be no. Acknowledge the thought, but don't engage with it. Let it pass like a cloud drifting across the sky. This practice is not about suppressing your thoughts, but observing them without attachment. Over time, you'll find that the thoughts lose their grip on you. You'll stop reacting impulsively and start responding with calm and clarity. And when you do, you'll notice something remarkable. People will begin to see you differently. That calm energy will speak louder than words. You'll no longer seem desperate, and desperation is the enemy of attraction. Now think of your thoughts as a garden. If you leave it unattended, weeds of insecurity and fear will overtake it. But if you cultivate it with intention, planting seeds of confidence and gratitude, it will flourish. The same is true for your mind. Master it, and you'll master yourself. But mastering your thoughts is only the beginning. Once you've built this foundation, it's time to tackle the next obstacle, fear. Because if your thoughts are the fuel for desperation, fear is the fire that keeps it burning. In step 2, we'll learn how to extinguish that fire and replace it with strength. Are you ready to let go of fear and take the next step? Let's keep going. Step 2. Let go of fear. Fear, have you ever stopped to think about how much it controls your actions? Fear of rejection, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough. These invisible chains bind us, dictating how we act in relationships. Fear whispers, what if they leave? What if someone else catches their eye? What if I'm not good enough? And when we listen to that voice, we act not from strength, but from desperation. The harsh truth is this: fear creates neediness, and neediness is the fastest way to drive people away. You've seen it before, someone trying too hard to impress, constantly texting, overanalyzing every word or look. What happens? It feels forced and it's exhausting for both sides. So why do we keep letting fear control us? Here's the Stoic reality. Fear doesn't come from the situation itself, it comes from how we interpret it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." The person you're so afraid of losing is not the source of your fear. It's your own mind creating stories and outcomes that don't even exist. Let's flip the script. What if you let go of the fear of losing someone? What if you stopped acting out of insecurity and started acting out of self-assurance? Think about it. How much more confident and attractive would you seem if you weren't consumed by fear? But letting go of fear is easier said than done, right? Fear has been your constant companion for so long, it feels like part of you. The key is not to fight it, but to understand it. Ask yourself, what am I truly afraid of? Is it rejection? Is it being alone? Most of the time you'll find that these fears are rooted in assumptions, not reality. Now here's the breakthrough. Once you recognize that fear is just a thought, a construct of your mind, it loses its power. Instead of reacting to it, you can respond to it. The next time you feel fear creeping in, try this exercise. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and say to yourself, "I am enough as I am. I do not need anyone's approval to feel complete." Repeat it until you feel the weight of fear start to lift. Picture this. You're in a situation where you're trying to attract someone's attention. Fear tells you to overcompensate, to be overly attentive, to impress them at all costs. But what if instead you acted with calm and confidence? What if you showed them that you're secure in who you are, whether or not they choose to stay? That energy is magnetic. When you let go of fear, you give people the space to come to you. You're no longer chasing, you're simply being. And that is the essence of a Stoic magnet. Imagine yourself walking into a room, not worried about who notices you or who doesn't. You're present, enjoying the moment, content with yourself. That confidence is impossible to ignore. People are drawn to those who are unshaken by fear. And here's the irony. The less you need someone, the more likely they are to want to be around you. Letting go of fear isn't about becoming indifferent or cold. It's about finding peace within yourself so that your actions are no longer dictated by insecurity. It's about being brave enough to let things unfold naturally, without trying to control the outcome. I'll leave you with this powerful thought from Seneca. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. The fears that consume us are rarely as catastrophic as we imagine. So why waste your precious energy on them? Let them go. Free yourself from their grip and you'll discover a new kind of strength. Now here's my question for you. What fear are you ready to let go of today? Is it the fear of being alone? The fear of rejection? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if this step resonates with you, don't forget to like this video so we can spread these powerful Stoic principles to others who need it. When we face our fears and release them, we make space for something greater, inner peace and self-assurance. But this is just the beginning. In the next step, we'll explore the art of detachment, a mindset that frees you from emotional chaos and makes you truly irresistible. Let's keep building this Stoic foundation together. Stay with me. Step 3. Embrace detachment. What would happen if you stopped trying to control the outcome of every interaction, every relationship? How much of your emotional turmoil stems from the need for things to go your way? Detachment, the ability to care deeply while remaining free from the chains of expectation, is one of the most liberating practices you can embrace. It's also one of the most attractive qualities you can cultivate. Let's consider this. When you're emotionally tied to an outcome, you give it power over you. Suppose you're texting someone you like, and they don't respond as quickly as you hope. Your attachment to their reply triggers frustration, anxiety, or even self-doubt. The question is, why? Does their lack of response change your worth? Does it make you less capable, less interesting, or less valuable? Of course not. Yet attachment to their reaction makes it feel that way. The wisdom of Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control and release everything else. Epictetus said, "Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens." You can control your effort, your behavior, and your mindset. You cannot control how others respond, what they think, or what they do. Recognizing this distinction is the foundation of detachment. Here's an analogy. Imagine planting a seed. You water it, place it in the sun, and nurture it as best you can. But can you force it to grow? No. The growth is out of your hands. All you can do is provide the right conditions and trust the process. The same principle applies to relationships. You can show up, offer your best self, and care deeply, but you cannot force someone to reciprocate or behave in a certain way. Detachment isn't indifference. It's not about closing yourself off emotionally or pretending not to care. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional chaos that comes from clinging too tightly to outcomes. Think of it as holding something precious in your hand, not with a tight, controlling grip, but with an open palm. You care for it, but you don't crush it with your need to control it. When you embrace detachment, a remarkable shift happens. You stop seeking validation from others, and as a result, you exude a sense of calm confidence. People notice that you're not desperate for their attention. This quiet self-assurance is magnetic. It draws people in because they sense that your happiness doesn't depend on their actions. But how do you practice detachment when it feels so natural to want things to go your way? Start by reframing your perspective. When you find yourself obsessing over an outcome, pause and ask, what am I truly afraid of losing? Often the fear is rooted in the illusion that your happiness or worth depends on that outcome. Remind yourself it doesn't. You are whole and complete regardless of the outcome. Another practice is to shift your focus to the present moment. Attachment often stems from living in the future, imagining what might happen or how things could go wrong. Detachment grounds you in the here and now. Ask yourself, what can I do in this moment that aligns with my values and brings me peace? When you focus on the process rather than the result, you reclaim your power. Here's an example. Imagine you're trying to reignite a fading spark in your relationship. You've planned a special evening, putting in thought and effort to reconnect. Detachment means showing up fully for the evening, being present, attentive, and caring, without attaching yourself to the outcome. If it goes well, wonderful. If it doesn't, you've still acted with integrity and given your best effort. Either way, you win, because your sense of peace comes from within, not from their reaction. The beauty of detachment is that it creates space for authenticity. When you're not fixated on how someone should respond, they're free to respond naturally. And that authenticity often leads to deeper, more meaningful connections. People feel safe around someone who isn't trying to control them, who accepts them as they are. Embracing detachment is a practice, not a destination. There will be moments when you slip into old patterns, clinging to outcomes or seeking external validation. That's okay. Each time you notice and gently release those attachments, you strengthen your ability to detach. Over time, it becomes second nature, and you'll find yourself navigating relationships with a sense of freedom and ease. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Detachment is that strength. It frees you from the roller coaster of emotional highs and lows. It allows you to show up as your best self, no matter what happens. When you embrace detachment, you become the calm in the storm, the steady presence that people are drawn to. And this sets the stage for the next step, valuing your time. Because when you detach from outcomes, you begin to see how precious your time truly is. Let's continue. Step 4. Value your time. But have you ever stopped to consider the value of your time? It's the one resource you can never replenish. Yet how often do we give it away freely, carelessly, even to those who don't respect it? When you treat your time as if it's infinite, you send a powerful signal to others. I don't value myself, so why should you? Think about it. How many hours have you spent waiting for a reply that never came? How often have you rearranged your schedule to accommodate someone who made little effort to reciprocate? Time wasted chasing someone who doesn't see your worth as time stolen from your growth, your happiness, and your life. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." When you start valuing your time, everything changes. It's not about becoming rigid or unapproachable. It's about understanding that your time is precious and treating it accordingly. People notice when you value yourself. It's an unspoken message. I respect my time and I expect you to respect it too. And that message is incredibly attractive. Imagine this. You're constantly available, always the one reaching out, always adjusting your plans to fit someone else's. What does that communicate? It tells them that your time isn't valuable, that you'll always be there, no matter how little effort they put in. But when you prioritize your time, when you invest it wisely in things that matter to you, others begin to see you differently. How do you start valuing your time? Begin by setting boundaries. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about protecting your energy and showing yourself the respect you deserve. If someone only reaches out when it's convenient for them, ask yourself, does this person value me, or are they just filling their time with my presence? If the answer is the latter, it's time to reevaluate how much energy you're giving to them. Another way to value your time is to focus on what truly matters to you. Instead of pouring your energy into someone who isn't making an effort, channel it into activities that bring you joy and growth. Pursue your passion, spend time with people who uplift you, and dedicate yourself to personal development. When you fill your life with meaningful pursuits, you won't feel the need to chase someone else's attention. It will come to you naturally. Think about how valuing your time shifts the balance of power in relationships. When you're not constantly available, others begin to appreciate the time you do give them. Scarcity creates value, and your time becomes something they want to earn rather than something they take for granted. This isn't about playing games, it's about showing others that you respect yourself enough to protect your most valuable resource. But valuing your time isn't just about how others see you, it's about how you see yourself. When you prioritize your time, you send yourself a powerful message. I am worthy of care and attention, and I won't waste my life chasing people who don't see that. This mindset builds confidence, and confidence is magnetic. People are drawn to those who carry themselves with self-respect. You might be thinking, but what if I push people away by setting boundaries or valuing my time? The truth is, anyone who truly cares about you will respect your time and make an effort to be part of your life. Those who don't, they're showing you where their priorities lie, and that's valuable information. Seneca reminds us, begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life. Each day is an opportunity to choose how you spend your time. Will you give it away to those who don't value it, or will you invest it in what makes you better, stronger, and more fulfilled? When you start valuing your time, you'll notice a profound shift in your relationships. People will respect you more. They'll see that you're not just waiting around for their attention, you're living your life fully, with or without them. And this leads to the next step, gratitude. Because when you begin to value your time, you start to see the beauty in the moments and relationships that truly matter. Let's move forward. Step 5. Practice gratitude. When was the last time you stopped and appreciated what you already have? In the rush to gain someone's attention or to fix what feels broken in a relationship, it's easy to lose sight of the abundance around you. Yet gratitude, the simple act of recognizing what's good in your life, is one of the most transformative habits you can cultivate. It doesn't just shift your perspective, it changes the energy you project, making you more grounded, confident, and yes, attractive. Let's get real for a moment. Do you find yourself focusing on what's missing? The message that hasn't been returned, the affection that feels one-sided, or the validation you're not receiving? These thoughts pull you into a scarcity mindset where everything feels like it's slipping away. But Stoicism offers a different approach. Instead of fixating on what you lack, cherish what you already have. As Seneca said, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Gratitude is the antidote to neediness. Imagine someone who radiates joy and contentment. They're not looking for external validation because they've already found it within. That energy is magnetic. When you focus on the good in your life, you stop chasing approval, and people are drawn to your positivity. But how do you practice gratitude when things aren't going your way? Start small. Each morning or evening, take a moment to list 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be grand or life-changing. Maybe it's the warmth of your morning coffee, the support of a friend, or the fact that you have the opportunity to grow. Over time, this habit rewires your brain to see abundance rather than lack. We think about the ripple effects this practice can have in your relationships. When you're grateful, you approach interactions from a place of fullness rather than neediness. You're no longer looking to someone else to complete you, you're simply sharing your joy with them. That shift is powerful. People want to be around those who uplift them, not those who drain them with constant demands. Here's a question to consider. How often do you express gratitude to the people in your life? A simple thank you can go a long way in deepening your connections. It shows that you see and appreciate their efforts, no matter how small. And gratitude is contagious. When you show it, others are inspired to do the same. Imagine being on the receiving end of gratitude. Wouldn't you feel more connected, more valued, more willing to give in return? That's the effect you create when you cultivate a habit of gratitude. It strengthens your relationships without the need for convincing or chasing. Of course, practicing gratitude doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending everything is perfect. It means choosing to focus on what's right, even in the face of what's wrong. This isn't about denial, it's about perspective. Gratitude shifts your energy, making you more resilient and more capable of navigating difficulties with grace. Let's take a moment right now. What are 3 things you're grateful for in this very moment? Write them down, say them aloud, or simply reflect on them. Notice how it feels to focus on the positive. That feeling is the foundation of a gratitude practice. And here's something to think about. How would your relationships change if you made gratitude a daily habit? Would you feel less anxious, less desperate for validation? Would the people in your life respond differently to your calm, positive energy? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you're finding value in these ideas, take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who might need this perspective. Gratitude, like any practice, grows stronger when shared. Together we can build a community rooted in Stoicism, self-respect, and positivity. As you begin to embrace gratitude, you'll notice a profound change in your mindset. You'll feel more at peace, more present, and more empowered. And that leads us to our next step, keeping your emotions in check. Because when you combine gratitude with emotional stability, you become unstoppable. Let's dive deeper. Step 6. Keep your emotions in check. Emotions are powerful forces. They can inspire great action, deepen connections, and bring clarity to the most complex situations. But unchecked, they can also lead to impulsive reactions, unnecessary conflicts, and self-doubt. In relationships, the inability to control your emotions can be the difference between calm confidence and chaotic desperation. Think about this. How often have you allowed a single moment, an unanswered text, a misunderstood comment, or a fleeting interaction to dictate your entire mood? One moment you're fine, and the next your emotions spiral into overthinking or anger. Stoics believe that while emotions are natural, they must never become the master of your actions. As Seneca said, "He who is brave is free," and bravery in this context means the courage to rise above emotional impulses. What happens when you let emotions dictate your behavior? Imagine you send someone a message and they don't reply immediately. Your first reaction might be frustration or fear. Thoughts like, "What did I do wrong?" or "Are they ignoring me?" start to bubble up. You might even send a follow-up message or react defensively when they finally respond. These reactions are driven by insecurity, not logic, and they often push people away. Now imagine a different response. You notice the emotions rising, but instead of acting on them, you pause. You take a breath and remind yourself, their delay in responding says more about their circumstances than it does about my worth. You acknowledge your feelings without letting them control you. This kind of emotional restraint is both calming for you and reassuring for those around you. So how do you begin to keep your emotions in check? The first step is awareness. Pay attention to the triggers that set off emotional reactions. Is it a particular situation, a certain behavior, or even a tone of voice? Once you identify these triggers, you can prepare yourself to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. The next step is to practice pausing. When you feel an emotion rising, whether it's anger, jealousy, or fear, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, is this reaction helpful? Will it bring me closer to the outcome I want? Often just this brief moment of reflection is enough to diffuse the intensity of the emotion. It's also essential to reframe your perspective. Many emotional reactions stem from assumptions about someone else's intentions. For example, if a friend cancels plans, you might immediately feel hurt or rejected. But what if their cancellation has nothing to do with you? What if they're overwhelmed or dealing with something personal? By reframing the situation, you can prevent unnecessary emotional turmoil. Stoicism teaches that true power lies in choosing how you respond to external events. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This principle applies to every relationship in your life. You cannot control how others act, but you can control how you interpret and respond to their actions. Consider the effect of emotional stability on your relationships. When you remain calm and composed, you create a sense of safety for others. They know they can be themselves without fear of an explosive reaction. This doesn't mean suppressing your emotions or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It means expressing yourself in a way that is clear, respectful, and constructive. For example, if you're upset with someone, instead of lashing out, you might say, "I felt hurt when this happened. Can we talk about it?" This approach invites understanding rather than defensiveness. It's a way of communicating that strengthens relationships instead of straining them. Over time, keeping your emotions in check becomes second nature. You'll find that you're less affected by the small frustrations of daily life. And as you cultivate this emotional resilience, you'll notice a profound shift in how others perceive and interact with you. People are drawn to those who exude calm and confidence, qualities that are deeply rooted in emotional stability. Emotional mastery isn't about suppressing what you feel, it's about aligning your emotions with your values. When you act in accordance with who you want to be, rather than being ruled by fleeting feelings, you become someone others respect and admire. And this paves the way for the next step, letting all these practices sink in and embracing your transformation. Let's move forward. Step 7. Visualize success. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself walking into a room. You're calm, confident, and entirely at ease. The people around you notice your energy, not because you're trying to impress them, but because you carry yourself with quiet self-assurance. Conversations flow naturally and connections form effortlessly. How does that feel? This is the power of visualizing success. When we enter a situation consumed by doubt, thinking about all the ways it could go wrong, we sabotage ourselves before we even begin. You've been there. A first date, an important conversation, or even a simple interaction where fear creeps in. You start asking questions like, what if they don't like me? What if I say the wrong thing? And suddenly your energy shifts. That self-doubt leaks out and others can sense it. But what if, instead of imagining failure, you trained your mind to expect success? Stoicism teaches us that we become what we repeatedly think. Epictetus said, "We are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of them." When you focus on negative outcomes, you're programming your mind to react with insecurity. When you visualize success, you're programming yourself to act with confidence and grace. So how does this work in practice? It's not about deluding yourself or ignoring potential challenges. It's about preparing your mind to handle them with poise. Before any interaction, take a moment to visualize how you want it to unfold. Picture yourself speaking with clarity, listening with intention, and feeling at ease. Imagine the other person responding positively, not because you're trying to control them, but because your energy invites connection. For example, if you're going on a date, don't dwell on the fear of awkward silences or rejection. Instead, visualize the conversation flowing naturally. Picture yourself laughing, enjoying the moment, and being your authentic self. When you walk into that date with this mindset, your actions align with your thoughts. You project confidence, and that confidence is magnetic. Some might think this sounds too simple to work, but neuroscience supports this practice. Visualization activates the same neural pathways as actual experience, training your brain to respond as though success is already happening. It's like a mental rehearsal that prepares you for the real thing. Of course, doubts will still arise. This is natural. The key is not to suppress them, but to refocus your mind on the outcome you want. If negative thoughts creep in, pause and ask yourself, what would the best version of me do in this situation? Let that question guide your visualization. Imagine this practice like a compass. When you visualize success, you're setting a clear direction for your mind and actions. Without it, you're wandering aimlessly, reacting to every external trigger. But with visualization, you move through life with intention, grounded in your purpose and values. Now let's bring it back to relationships. When you expect success, when you believe in your ability to connect, communicate, and thrive, you naturally stop chasing approval. You don't need someone else to validate you because you've already seen your worth in your mind. That self-assurance is irresistible. Here's an exercise to try today. Before your next important interaction, take 5 minutes to sit quietly. Close your eyes and visualize the ideal outcome. Feel the emotions you want to experience: calm, joy, connection. When you open your eyes, carry that energy with you. Notice how it changes your approach and the way others respond to you. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this practice. Have you tried visualization before? What's one situation where you'd like to apply it? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious about your experiences and insights. And if this step resonates with you, give this video a like to let me know you're finding value in these ideas. As you continue this journey, remember, success begins in the mind. By visualizing the outcomes you want, you align your thoughts and actions with your highest potential. And this leads us to our final step, letting it all sink in and fully embracing the transformation you've created. Let's move forward together. Step 8. Let it all sink in. You've done the work. You've explored each step, applied each principle, and started to embody the calm confidence of a Stoic magnet. Now it's time to let it all sink in. This step isn't about adding anything new. It's about giving yourself the space to internalize what you've learned and trusting the process to unfold naturally. Imagine you've been planting a garden. You've tilled the soil, planted the seeds, and watered them regularly. You've done everything in your power to create the right conditions for growth. What's left to do? Nothing. You simply let nature take its course. Growth happens in its own time, unseen and unhurried. The same is true for the transformation you're undergoing. As humans, we often rush to see results. We want instant feedback, instant validation, instant change. But true growth is a process. It requires patience and trust. Marcus Aurelius reminded us, no great thing is created suddenly. Becoming the kind of person who draws others in effortlessly, who radiates confidence and peace, is no exception. It takes time, practice, and reflection. Letting it all sink in means releasing the need for perfection. You won't get everything right immediately, and that's okay. There will be moments when you slip back into old habits, when fear creeps in, emotions flare, or doubts resurface. What matters is how you respond to those moments. Instead of criticizing yourself, treat them as opportunities to practice. Each time you catch yourself in course correct, you reinforce the principles you've learned. Think about where you started compared to where you are now. Maybe you came into this journey feeling lost or frustrated, chasing someone's attention or approval. Now you've begun to shift that focus inward, building a foundation of self-respect and emotional stability. Even if the changes feel subtle, they're happening. Trust that. This process is also about balance. Being a Stoic magnet doesn't mean shutting yourself off from the world or becoming unfeeling. It means cultivating the inner strength to remain steady, even in the face of life's uncertainties. It's about showing up fully in your relationships, not because you need validation, but because you want to connect authentically. As you let these principles take root, you'll notice how others begin to respond to you differently. They'll see your calm energy, your quiet confidence, and your lack of desperation. They'll be drawn to you, not because you're chasing them, but because your presence feels safe and inspiring. This is the essence of attraction, not manipulation, but authenticity. To fully embrace this transformation, remind yourself daily of the principles you've learned. When fear arises, let it go. When you're tempted to chase, pause and redirect your focus inward. When doubts creep in, visualize success. When challenges arise, approach them with emotional stability. These small, consistent practices will deepen your transformation over time. Finally, celebrate the progress you've made. Gratitude isn't just for others, it's also for yourself. Acknowledge the effort you've put into this journey and take pride in the changes you've begun to see. Growth isn't always visible in the moment, but every step you take is a step closer to the person you're becoming. As Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. You've declared your intention to become a Stoic magnet. You've done the work to embody that intention. Now let the results unfold naturally, trusting that everything will fall into place in its own time. This is the beauty of the Stoic approach. It's not about chasing, convincing, or forcing. It's about becoming. And as you let these practices settle into your life, you'll find that the people and opportunities meant for you will come effortlessly. You've already taken the most important step. Now it's time to live it. You've reached the end of this transformative journey, but in many ways, this is just the beginning. Each step we've explored, from mastering your thoughts to embracing detachment, from valuing your time to visualizing success, has been a building block. Together, they form a foundation for a new way of living, rooted in Stoicism, self-respect, and authenticity. Now, take a moment to reflect. How do you feel about yourself compared to when we started? Perhaps you feel a bit lighter, more in control, or even inspired. That's the beauty of adopting these principles. They don't just change how others see you, they change how you see yourself. You've moved from chasing and convincing to attracting and being. This isn't about tricks or shortcuts. It's about becoming the best version of yourself and letting that version shine. But here's the thing. No transformation is complete without consistency. The real power of these principles lies in your ability to live them every day, even in small ways. When challenges arise, and they will, remember the tools you've learned. Revisit the steps when you need clarity. Trust the process even when it feels slow. As Marcus Aurelius wisely said, dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars and see yourself running with them. Your growth is already a part of that beauty. And as you continue to walk this path, you'll find that the right people naturally gravitate toward you, not because you've convinced them, but because they see the strength, calm, and confidence you embody. You are no longer a follower of others' approval. You are the leader of your own life. So what's next? Take a deep breath and embrace the changes you've made. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small. And remember, being a Stoic magnet isn't just about relationships. It's about living a life of integrity, courage, and balance. You've planted the seeds, now watch them grow. And thank you for being part of this journey. If this video has inspired you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who might need these insights. Let's create a community of people who choose strength over fear, calm over chaos, and growth over stagnation. And before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Which step resonated with you the most? What will you focus on first? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, remember, you are a Stoic magnet. You don't chase, you attract. And the world is drawn to your quiet, confident power. Stay strong, stay calm, and keep shining. You've got this.